Hey, what's up, Canada and beyond? Welcome back. It is Monday, August 19th. We've got a special story to share with you guys today. We've had a lot of guests over the last few years. A lot of experts, a lot of specialists, a lot of people that have been incredibly brave in fighting this medical oppression, medical tyranny of all kinds in Canada over the last 5 years. And I get often asked, why don't we see more lawyers in the fight? There's some that are doing amazing work. They're incredibly brave, and this is something that I've been paying very close attention to in looking for more people to speak to that. And I came across a story on Friday, and I reached out immediately to this guest to bring her on because she's got an exceptional story. And without further ado, I'm not even going to waste any more time. I want to introduce Gloriane Blais to everybody here. Gloraine, you've got an incredible story that from the moment I first read about it, I was incredibly intrigued. And so to set the stage a little bit for folks, you're a lawyer in Canada, or were a lawyer in Canada,
Yeah.
in Quebec. I'll have you touch on that a little bit, but just to put the enticement out there for everybody, you're a lawyer that's in France right now submitting a case with evidence of abuse of the Canadian judicial system, failing to protect you and the people. And you're in a case there in France. And this is something that I thought was, incredibly brilliant and brave and kind of crazy to me that we would have lawyers that would have to go to France in order to shed light, to find an outlet to shed light on the abuses here in Canada. Is that, great way to start this? This is going to be very strange for folks.
It's perfect beginning. Yes, it's we have to reach that far. We know that we are we are fighting for the future of the children, and it's big, and is often bigger than we thought at the beginning. And yes, I had to reach to present my cases, because I have more than one cases, but front of a judge in France. And just by the way, one of my cases I sent to, and I think it will look particular, I sent to the the general governor of Canada, and
Right?
also the king, because
So
upon the
the Governor
constitutional,
General and the King have been notified of your case.
yeah, the Supreme Court, my application to leave at the Supreme Court of Canada that I deposited on May 17, 2024. I will explain more a bit later, but yes, like they were notified, and the Supreme Court of Canada were notified, the highest of the country, the General Governor of Canada, and the King Charles III. And but after that, I have to go forward, and then I'm in France. Yeah.
So, just to let everybody know, when I first reached out to you, you explained to me you're French, obviously, and your bilingualism wasn't so great. And I said, "Don't worry about it. Your bilingualism is probably better than mine because I speak about 3 words of French, and that's it." So, for the folks that are out there, tell us a little bit about where you come from. So obviously, the folks know you're in Quebec. So
Mm.
they're going to be assuming that you were a lawyer in Quebec. How did you go from being just probably, I'm assuming, living a normal life in Quebec, doing your thing, to putting the Supreme Court, the Governor General, and the King on notice? That's a long ways removed from the fights that most of us have been, fighting against the establishment. That's all. There's got to be a story in there. And then, what was their response at those levels?
Will it start at the beginning? I see some words before the interview. Maybe some people will not find relevant, but for me, it's very important. I'm from the bottom of the society, and I'm proud of it. Meaning, I'm from the roots of the society. I lived all my childhood on the farms. My parents' farm, milks and cattle farm, in the countryside where it was only French language, and it's very not my skill. English, I put a lot of energy to learn English with different immersion in Halifax, England, and USA. But I decided to be lawyer because I wanted to represent my people. Meaning, I never want to be higher than my people. I wanted just like to represent my people, and I never betrayed my people, meaning like the people. I began I'm lawyer. I was lawyer since 1999, and I start my own law office in 2004. Why I start my own law office is because I wanted to respect my value, that what I represent. Like I didn't want to represent any case. Then I choose my value instead of the money. But I'm not against the money. The money, we need everybody. And I develop an expertise, a very high skill in health law. I have a second degree at university in health law and policies in University of Sherbrooke, and I did a very big case of medical malpractice. There is one very known in obstetric, like it's a case very difficult to win. I win at the trial level. I win at the Court of Appeal of Quebec, and I win at the level of application to. I win at the Supreme Court at the level of application to leave. Meaning, I did a very interesting career during 22 years, and it was in health law then. And I represent also a case, a very big case. It's for a businessman that I knew since long time, and he became a victim of corruption from the government of Quebec. Then it's a government in Canada, and I sue for the client, the government of Quebec, for 35 million, and we had a very great expertise report, and we did a very great trial, very long-term trial in autumn 2020, like nearly 10 years after we start the case in 2011. And at the end of the trial, my favorite judge, render a fraudulent judgment. I was stunning because my career went so well. I never expect this. I like very never expect this, like not like that. And I was stunning, I said, okay, it will be all right. I will bring the case at the Court of Appeal. Fraudulent meaning he didn't mention a lot of element of proof from our side, and it was strong. It was a writing document. It was like very stunning, very important element of proof, and he never evaluate also the credibility of no witness, because our witness was so the credibility was so strong at the witness of the government they were lying like so much. Then I said, okay, it's okay. It's bad, the judgment. I never see this, but I would bring to the Court of Appeal. And because it was a litigation of 35 million, it's because the amount of the litigation, it's important at the level of a Court of Appeal. Then I bring to the Court of Appeal, and I was not worried because it was always at the Court of Appeal. When I win a case, I have to defend the judgment at the Court of Appeal. It was always well. I was very skilled, and I was representing the value of the justice in others' case too. Then at the Court of Appeal, even it was a direct, like a straight appeal, they reject preliminary the appeal without look at the proof. Like it was. Then I bring to the Supreme Court of Canada by an application to leave in March 2021, and just with 14 volume of proof. I make sure to transcribe out of the trial, and I pick up the element of proof like the most important, because at the application to leave, we cannot deposit 100 books but I deposit 2,800 page, then 14 volume of proof. Then in March 2021, I deposit this application to leave to our highest court in Canada. And just after I deposit, I receive a notice from the Bar of Quebec, and they inform me that the Chief of Justice of the Superior Court of Quebec, meaning the boss of the trial judge, the trial judge in Quebec province, then it's a high level of, like, the Chief of Justice. It's
Right.
high. And usually, like, people deposit a complaint to the Bar of Quebec. It's more like an ex-client or opposite lawyer, but I never hear about like the Chief of Justice. Then and he was not involved in the case. Then they said he said it's impossible what she write in the brief. But I asked her to the Bar of Quebec, just read the proof and it will be all right. Then what I knew a few weeks later is they sue me in disciplinary, meaning when you are suing in disciplinary, it's meaning you may lose your title, then you may lose all of your the way that you you work. Then they sue me. It's my first problem in disciplinary in all my career. It started to sue in May 2021, and then they were surprised because for me it's normal to stand up. I didn't. It's later I understand that they were surprised that I didn't withdraw my application. Then in July 2021, the Supreme Court of Canada reject my application to leave. And it's not about just my case. It's about the constitutional obligation in Canada. The most important constitutional obligation for a judge is to be impartial. And in the jurisprudence, there was no precedent that we have the proof of bias conscience, meaning deliberately like a fraudulent judgment like that. There was no case. Then it was a big thing, and it was against a government that you have to be involved. And they reject the application, and even the proof was there. It's not like just 2 sheets of proof. And then the day after the same day, the 8th of July July 8th, 2021, the day that the Supreme Court of Canada reject my application, the Bar of Quebec signed a second disciplinary complaint about my words about the experimental injection, because I'm full vax, and my kids about the old vaccine, but the COVID vaccine, it is an experimental injection. Then I was saying, as a lawyer expert in health law, I was saying that you cannot say it's safe and effective. I was saying this in spring 2021. You cannot say, I was saying to the population, they cannot say it's safe and effective. It's still on phase 3 trial clinic. Then it was the other case. Then they sue me, the last case. Then they thought like they will stop me to continue to talk. But instead, I decided to do a big live in French in Quebec province in September 2021, where I explained during 2 hours all the case at the Supreme Court. And after I start the 1st of November, the first case about the experimental injection at the level of the Court of Appeal in Canada, and in my knowledge in the world. And it was a permission to appeal, but they reject the Court of Appeal. And just after, then they didn't. Then just after my pleading at the Court of Appeal about the case of experimental injection in the January 31st, 2022, 3 days later, the Bar of Quebec, not the one who was suing me in disciplinary because it was still on process, but the Bar of Quebec ordered me without hearing, without informing me. Then they didn't let me have the possibility to give proof. They ordered me 3 days later a psychiatric examination. And I said I will not submit myself to abuse of power. Then they decide to disbar me permanently. And after the 2 disciplinary process continue, and the one for the experimental injection, they disbar me for 2 months. But the other, they disbar me, the one for about the Supreme Court of Canada, they disbar me for 8 years. And this is the case important for now, because this case, the disciplinary suing on the 14 volume of proof, I went to all appeal step, a lot of appeal step, a lot of work. Okay, I work a lot. Even I'm disbarred, I work a lot. And in the May 17, 2024, I plead at the Court of Appeal on my disciplinary, but it's not about me, myself. It's about I give an opportunity to the Canadian judicial system to straighten with the case that they failed before, the same case, the same proof. Then on May 17, 2024, I deposit my application to leave back again to the Supreme Court of Canada on the same 14 volume of proof through my disciplinary, and it's now on the desk. Not just deposit it's now the judge are studying upon the Supreme Court of Canada website. The judge of the Supreme Court of Canada are studying, then we may have an answer in 1 month. And all this process, like the disbar me, even I'm very skilled, and even I'm right about the experimental injection, and even I'm right about the brief that I deposited in March 2021 because I have the proof. And by the way, the Bar of Quebec, the one sue me the 2 disciplinary hearing, admit on the oath during 2 hearing 2 times that he never read 1 page of the 14 volume of proof. Okay? Why he said this? Not because he didn't read. I don't know if he did read or not. He doesn't want to know. He doesn't want to be involved in a criminal. Then it's for that he doesn't want to know. You understand? Then this is persecution. Everything I live, I just see the truth. Then I just ask justice in the Canadian judicial system. Then I'm right as lawyer. Then I'm right as ex-lawyer. Then everything they did, the Canadian judicial system through the Bar of Quebec, but through also all the level of court, including the Supreme Court of Quebec, Canada, it's persecution. And this persecution, it's a threat to me. But after it's happened something else. But I will stop like that. I will continue after your other question.
There's a lot there that I'm processing. Having heard the stories of several lawyers and what they've gone through. We had a gentleman on the show here a little over a month ago who resigned from the bar in Quebec over a lot of these same persecutions and overreaches. But this is already so much in parallel to cases that I've heard outside of Quebec. And this is, as challenging as it might be, and thank you for your patience in trying to articulate in a language that isn't your first. there's a this I think is something that they have weaponized. They know that it's very difficult for people in Quebec to communicate outside of Quebec and vice versa. There is
Mm.
not a lot of communication in or out of Quebec with the rest of Canada, so we don't get to hear a lot about the persecutions, abuses, and overreach within Quebec. We hear a lot outside of Quebec, but not so much from inside. And to hear what you've been laying out there seems to me, and this is just my how I'm kind of reading this already, is you started out exposing corruption, and in just before pre-COVID and coming into COVID, that kind of overlapped into the abuse, and you were already, and this is how I'm seeing, is that they saw you on the radar busting their corruption, and they felt they needed to get ahead of you and silence you because you were correct. So a lawyer friend of mine in Alberta wrote a paper on the inversion of law and how what's up is down and what's down is up. And it's very interesting that I think that you because you haven't been able to communicate with so much with the whole of Canada, have been probably the most victimized by that inversion of law and the capture of our judiciary in Canada by activism. That's how I'm just a dumb talking head online. So I see this as lawfare, and it's kind of like, how dare you, is what they're trying to tell you. They're not even going to read your stuff. They want to send you in for a psychiatric evaluation because you're right. And this
Exactly.
is what they're trying to hide so desperately. And you've, I think, made this kind of difficult for them now with what you've taken on here now. Am I too far out in trying to? I know this is grossly oversimplified, but I've seen
No,
this
it's simple
before.
like that. It's simple like that. They order me the psychiatric examination. It was the 3rd of February, and the hearing, like the trial about the disciplinary sue on the Supreme Court of Canada, it was the March 14th. And it was a bit like 1 month after. They didn't want I reach like the trial on disciplinary like the case at the Supreme Court of Canada on disciplinary level. They didn't want I reach the trial. Then they said we will use everything we can use, but it's illegal what they use. It's totally illegal. It's the point. They cannot say we will use everything we can use legally. Yes, but they are illegal. They are totally in the wrong, like inverse everything. It's as you said, in the better way, in French is valeur inversée, inverse value, maybe, I don't know. But the point is about the language barrier. It's a point that it doesn't help me a lot to share to the rest of Canada. It's so complicated, this case. It's very so complicated. And just to explain in French, it's huge. When I do the application to leave the second one in May 2024 at the Supreme Court of Canada, I translate the brief in English. It's available through my Docurium link. It's on X, and it's Blais Gloriane, and on Facebook. I put all my document, my proof, I put available. But what I'm saying is, it's first they push, they harass me so much, the Canadian judicial system, the Bar of Quebec. Then the Quebec lawyer, do you think they are interested to say, oh, I read her proof and she's right? No, they don't want to lose their title, except if they want to think about justice before them. Me, justice is it's my highest value. The other point is about the language barrier. At the Supreme Court of Canada, they said that the Radio Canada, they use AI to translate fast the document. Then I ask in my brief to make sure to translate the document because it's in French. Then my friends in English, in the rest of Canada, in the English part of Canada, it's difficult. They can read the brief, but they cannot read the proof. Then I asked to the Supreme Court in the brief, I asked to translate everything in English, and to offer to the population. They are paid by our tax. It's the minimum that they offer everything they have in their hands. And I didn't receive news about this, but eventually maybe. And it's for that. It's not for this reason I reach France. Like it's about this persecution, but I was not thinking, oh, they are able to read French. I never think about this. But now what I see is, wow, in France, they can read the proof. It's in French, and it's maybe a detail, but not so much, because in a trial like that, the proof are so complex, so difficult to understand in our language. In the other languages, it's quite difficult. And also, the other point I wanted to, yes, and the case that I'm doing, it was a sue against the government of Quebec in the corruption. It was abuse of power of government against one citizen. And the COVID time, it's abuse of power of government on all citizens, on the society. Then then the case on individual permit me to understand then the Canadian judicial system, just a case for one person, okay? They are not able to give justice. Even it's just one person. Imagine for the case of the COVID, where it touched all the society, how it would be difficult for the Canadian judicial system to be straightened. Then I'm not, I still have hope. It's for that I'm fighting, because my objective, my goal is to straighten the Canadian judicial system. And now the judge in France can analyze my file. And the most important thing, it's the judge at Supreme Court of Canada know that judge in France see what they have what they have done. It's terrible, the persecution I have been victim. It was terrible in my life. Like I'm smiling, as I said before the interview. I still laugh, I still smile, because me, I don't know, I'm like that. But it's not a reason to harass a person. Think so much about justice. And after I start a class action recently in March 2024, recently, I start a class action as a citizen, not as a lawyer. It's a class action for all human beings in Canada, the group that I propose to the judicial system. And it's about the lie of, then I sue not government, I sue, and it's strategic, it's very a decision strategic. I sue 35 person individually, not the government. Then I sue the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. I sue Doug Ford. I sue 35. Then it's Prime Minister or ex-Prime Minister of also Minister of Health, ex-Minister of Health. I touch the federal and level, and I touch all province and territories. For me, it was very important to touch all province and territories, including Nunavut, Whitehorse, and because these people get inoculated if they've been inoculated with lies. Safe and effective vaccine, it's a lie. It cannot be a truth, because it was still on the phase 3 of clinical trial, and for a lot of other reasons. Okay, we know that there is some like not good stuff in these now. And also I sue for people get not inoculate, they refuse, and they get
Ostracized,
rejected by yes, exactly, by their family, or and I by their job. Some lose their way to survive, and or by their friends, and then psychologically it was very difficult to not get inoculate with these lies so much repeat. And why I sue politician, it's because people are confident. Usually people are confident about politicians. They say, oh, they are there for like for us, like it's a pandemia. It was a false pandemia upon the data, the government data. And but the people have put their confidence to the politician. Maybe not anymore, but it was the situation. We are in pandemia, we are on the death threat, then we have to listen our people, our elected representative. And also why I sue the politician, and it's the main reason, is because it's the it's not the health director that they are, it's the elected representative. It's our politician has to represent the people, meaning has to be enough strong and to continue to be straight and to stand up for the people, even they have pressure from lobbyism, even they have pressure for pharmaceutical, even they have pressure from other country like totalitarian country like China. They have the politician to be straight up. And to sue 35, it's a lot, 35, okay? It's a lot of fear of bailiff, and it's a lot of risk for my life too. Then why I sue 35, it's to touch all the country, and it's to say to other politicians that I don't sue. Okay, stop it. Since I sue in Quebec province, they stopped to talk, I don't know, in English, rougeole. They were talking about the vaccine rougeole. I don't know in English what is they were talking under the vaccine that the kids has to like take. And for me now, even the old one vaccine, like my kids, as I said, was inoculate. Now, even they don't, I receive an information that even they don't say most of the vaccine now, even the old one, are not anymore the old one. Then it's like now the vaccine they are not anymore vaccine. It's like they are RNA messenger. Then I sent to bailiff to nearly. I have still some to send to all of these. Justin Trudeau received in March 2024 the class action procedure. And in April 11, 2024, a lawyer that I don't know sent me a mail and said, if you don't withdraw this class action, you will have more problem. Okay. Then what problem I can have more when I have lose my total, the way that I survive, all my like my business, and what is the more problem? Then it is your lawyer
That
will
was
not say.
absolutely a threat. No matter how much you're facing, they're threatening you with more. That's the only way that you can take that. That's the only. So I do understand what you're saying there with that, and so this again keeps coming back to me, about the original case, and when I think back over that time frame, what was going on, I was hosting uh, against the government narrative. I hosted 50 different doctor talks that were, the Dr. Bridles, the Dr. McCulloughs, Dr. Alexander's, everybody that was providing the actual evidence. And they did everything but locking me up to keep me silenced by that. But to me, that is still not as much of a threat that you would have exposed to them. So what I'm thinking here is that your case would have probably stopped an awful lot of what happened from after 2021, had they not intervened on your case, we wouldn't have nearly as many people damaged and injured by these bioweapons or these concoctions that they were experimenting on us with. That a lot of that wouldn't have transpired. The lockdowns wouldn't have transpired. You would have stopped it through the exposure of that in 2021.
Yeah.
Is what I'm hearing here out of
Mm,
this, without even knowing the cases, but understanding where the
mm,
judiciary was at, where they were captured. They were using things like judicial notice to dismiss evidence that was 100% accurate evidence from the most accredited doctors in the world. That was where I knew that, excuse me, we were in deep trouble when it came to all of that. So that was going right, back into 2021, and that's what you were trying to establish. But it was a case that nobody else in Canada had heard about, and I'm just hearing about all of this now, halfway or almost through 2024. And I find that sad, incredibly sad, because Canadians have lost and suffered so much at the hands of this, medical overreach and capture of the judiciary. And so to see and hear that politicians were being named in suits that probably would have been effective completely makes sense to me. That you were probably accurate, probably would have won, probably would have set precedents. We probably wouldn't have had any of this. So they had a whole lot of investment in trying to silence you and intimidate you even further. Um, was that when you really knew what you were up against? Was then, or did you? You can't have gotten this far without having a faith in the system to be able to fight back within it. What did that tell you when they threatened you at that point?
yeah, but my faith, it's about higher than the human,
Understand?
then my faith, it's the power. I will say like that. I don't want to sing. It's not about one singer or the other, but it's the power of love. Like, I'm not against humans. I want that humans straighten. This is the best gift I can give to a human. Hey, I believe in you, and if you don't believe in yourself, just dismiss. Just dismiss. I'm talking to the judge. I'm talking to the politician. Like, I believe in you. Just straighten. But if you don't believe, then I received that mail from a lawyer that I don't know. Then he said, if you don't, from Montreal, near the near the, I'm not saying it's a friend of Justin Trudeau. I don't know at all, but it's a lawyer from Montreal, and near the where I sent the bailiff to. I sent the bailiff to the county of Justin county office of to Justin Trudeau, Papineau, and it was near. Anyway, then the lawyer sent me this mail. If you don't withdraw in 1 day, I think it's 1 day. I don't remember. I think it's 1 or 2 days, something like that. It was quite fast. I have to. You will have more additional problem. This, I think I received the most. I don't want to do a competition. It's not about this, the point, okay? It's just a way to see my situation. I think I received the most like harassment from the Canadian judicial system, the most persecution since the last years. Then what will you do more? And for me, it is sure a lawyer will not say that I'm threatening you, like I will kill, like I will ask people to kill you. It is sure he will not write this. It's a lawyer. Then just write what he write for a lawyer. It was scaring me because I never see a lawyer threatening a person like that. I say, like, if you don't give me 1 million to 2,000 anyway, we will sue you. This is normal. It's a civil threat. It's okay. Then I called the 911. I didn't call just a police office station. I called the 911 is to show to the police, because the police know me very well. And I talked during the demonstration, and then I called the 911 at the city of Quebec City, and I explained the threat. I said, like, if I just put on my social network the mail, because if I'm being killed, I want you take that proof, but please take seriously. Like, I wanted they come to see me, and they said, yeah, they will come very soon, very soon. Then 5 hours later, they never came. 5 hours, and for me it was clear that they didn't want to handle the case. They didn't want to protect me. And if you say, yes, but maybe it was not a death threat, yes, but they have to investigate. They don't. I'm supposed to be a Canadian citizen, a human being, live in Canada. Then I leave my apartment near the battlefield in Quebec City. A safe. I was living in a safe building, especially because I was what I was doing. Then I left my apartment 5 hours later with my bags and my 2 kids, and I have young kids because I had my kids old. And I said to my kids, maybe it's the last time we are here, and a person specialized in safety things come to pick up me. And just half an hour later, one of my friends booked a ticket to leave for France, a straight ticket from Quebec City. It was the day after the first one, and me and my kids was to friends, and because I don't want they are involved in this, and me, I went to spend my night in the forest, and I live alone with the man who was protecting me, Stéphane Sévigny, and my kids come to France 2 weeks later with my friends, others' friends, and it's a very difficult challenge because I reached France. It was the 13th of April, and I had three cases to finish. One, my brief. It was about the public health law in Quebec that I attacked with my mass ticket. It's another case. Then I had to finish this. It was nearly finished. After, I had to do 2 other briefs, including my big case at the Supreme Court that I deposited May 17. I reached France the 13th of April. 1 month later, I needed to deposit maximum the case in Supreme Court, and I had no house, and I didn't bring my cell phone, neither my computer, because I didn't want to be tracked. I was not sure I would be able to leave the country, and I was really like during 1 month. In France, the first 2 weeks I was wearing lens, and the friends protect me when I left the country. He cut my hair, tint my hair. I put red lips. I never put red lips, lens, and act like seriously. I changed my clothes. I don't want to be drama and say, oh, we are in a movie. No, it's not a joke. After everything I live since 2001 and even before, it was the last 3 years, it was clear that I cannot take a risk for more risk for my life. I'm ready to take all these risks because for me, the future of our children, it's important. And the veteran, the one went to war, like the Second World War, and like our soldier, like they went for our freedom value, Western value. Then for me, it's important to do like these our soldier than to go to take all the risk. But I don't want to be killed, because if I'm killed, all my case fall. And it's not because I'm so like I don't want to be killed, but for me, it's the future of our children. It's very important. And when I reached in France, I didn't have money. It's like 2 years I don't have money. I was asking donation to pay my very expensive fee for the bailiff to continue to for the class action, and I spent more than 10,000 of Canadian dollar, and I spent 10,000 just for deposit the case at the Supreme Court on May 17. Another 10,000 that I was eating at the popular kitchen like the Armée du Salut in France, and I was living very simple place and put all the money for the case. It's this I do since the last years to put everything for the case, but now it's very extreme. But I'm very happy that I did.
Well, I think that I think that you're wise, honestly. When I first started speaking up at a higher level, I'm not talking about just going to a protest, but when I started to organize speech, starting to do these kinds of things, I had a very experienced lady reach out to me and talk to me about experience at a high level of politics, having worked with high levels of politicians, and she was not, what she told me wasn't to threaten or intimidate me. What she told me was to warn me that our government does do drastic, horrible things to people when they want to keep a story silent. Our government, people think about Hollywood and all of those things. Yeah, well, no, make no mistake, Canada has that kind of evil in it as well at the higher levels of government. So I think that, given what I'm hearing about what you've done was brilliant, too brilliant that you became that level of threat to the, not to the individuals, but to what they were perpetrating, to the crimes, and the extent of the crimes is so deep, so entrenched with so many of those officials at the higher levels, and it's not the lower level ones, it's the higher level ones, and they will do anything that they can to protect themselves. So I understand that very clearly, and I don't think that you were being dramatic in any way, shape, or form in fearing for your safety in all of this. I think that's very prudent at this point in time. But at the same time, I do what I do for the same reason. If not me, then who? I can't expect a father of four to go and do what I do when I don't have any children. That's my job to as a Canadian to stand up for my fellow Canadians, because I believe in my people, and that's the only reason I do what I do. So I'm always seeking out the people that are the bravest with the biggest stories that and you're I hate to say this, Gloriane, but you're kind of typical of that type of person. The people that are fighting the strongest fights are the last ones that really wanted it this way. They're fighting for better for everybody, not fighting for money. So I'm very inspired by what I'm hearing about what you've endured and what you're still doing, and that you are still fighting. And it's got to be, tell us a little bit of that. When did you decide to take this case to France and go that route? Because that is, I know some other very persecuted lawyers. Maybe I'll introduce you. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that chat to see who had the most abuse. Some of them have been arrested for it and lost everything as well. But and this is just me kind of being a little bit facetious within the insanity. But when did you decide to take the case or the fight to the French courts to shed a light on Canada? Was that something you knew when you went to France, or was that just going to France more for your safety to regroup and find out, to think about what to do next? Or was that something that you were thinking then already?
Personally, I was not thinking about this when I left. But as I said before in the other interview, I'm not hiding this. I have a very strong inner voice, like I'm very spiritual. I take time to you may call me meditate or pray. It's not important for me, like the words, but I believe that we can be helped from higher than us if we have humility, to be
Yeah.
humble, and understand that we may be more than what we are individually. Anyway, when I left, then there is maybe a plan was there, then I didn't know is this maybe I don't know. When I left, I just think to save, and it's come in my heart like go France, like I just leave France. Like I was even surprised. I just like called my one of my friends and can you book, I was thinking, oh, if it's happened, but like I was surprised. Is this I'm going to France? Okay, then she booked the because she's very confident about, and she follow what I do. It's when I reach in France, I deposit because I deposit an asylum request to France. Okay, I'm saving myself from the country that they persecuted, that I am victim of persecution. But I talk about the threat that I receive from the lawyer about the class action against Justin Trudeau and other 34 other lawyer. But I never at that time I still never think to bring my big case of, now it was 14, now it's 19 volume of proof, through the application to leave that I deposit at the Supreme Court. Like second time I bring the same proof at the Supreme Court through my disciplinary process. I deposit, as I said, in May 2024, and now the judge are studying upon the website of the Supreme Court. I never think that I would bring this, but it's like maybe 2 weeks ago, because they take a first decision. It was administrative decision, and I said, okay, I have to add this to understand all the picture, like the big picture, not just like the threat. Then it's big, the threat, but it's an end of all of the persecution. It's the threat of the lawyer. It's why it's so alarming. It's because what I live and all, like this lawyer knew, like everybody in Quebec province knew that I'm the only lawyer get this bar. It's not it's about my talk, because it's public talk. I talk to public, like to warn them. Then it's recently I decide, okay, I have to bring the big picture for my request of asylum to France Republic. Then I put, it's today I deposit the document to them. I put on a social network last week, but I mentioned that it's today I will deposit. Then I deposit today with all the proof. Then now it's the court, National Court of Asylum of French Republic, as all the proof. And the proof, it's not that I'm right or I'm not right, but I'm right. It's more than this. I have the proof that the Canadian judicial system failed front of the abuse of power of one of a government in Canada, meaning the government of Quebec, but it doesn't matter. And I have the proof that instead to straighten, they decide to persecute, like harass and harass and harass. And this this lawyer wants so much justice. And then now it's a judge, really a formal judge, will evaluate, and they have a team. They explain. Then they have a team, the judge, to analyze. And my case, I think, is the biggest case they will have to analyze at this court.
Well, Canadians are pretty familiar with talking about political persecution, but they've never, I don't think, ever discussed it from the other side of the coin. We're used to seeing people come to Canada that have been politically persecuted elsewhere, and we give them sanctuary here in Canada. I think you might be the first. This might be the first case I've heard of politically persecuted individual being persecuted by Canada and taking that to a international level of recognition. And this is, to me, very extreme, because I've been asking myself the same question as a journalist. Where do I go for sanctuary when my government is going to persecute me? Because it is coming. They already are, as you know, many of the same ways. They've taken my livelihood. They've taken, everything else. They've threatened me. This bill C-63 that puts me directly in jail if they pass this bill. So this is going to be a much a much bigger conversation very quickly around the rest of the world. Why are Canadians fleeing political persecution in Canada, seeking refuge in other countries? And so your case now is at the National Court of Asylum in France.
Yes.
And this is what you're hearing about political persecution, or that's what they're going to be hearing, is about the political persecution of lawyers in Canada
From the
or
Canadian
from the
judicial
Canadian
system.
judicial system at the behest
Not
of the government is
exclamation.
going to have to come out in that, because it's the government that's leaning on them. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I can't say that unequivocally, but or with authority. But this is such a turning of the tables as to what we're used to having a discussion about. I can't think of ever, until hearing your story, another case anywhere like this where the appropriate light is being shone on the Canadian judiciary. And I know there's a few of my lawyer friends are going to be very curious about this. So how does that work over there? And is there going to be are the courts there transparent to the public? Like here, anything that's going on, they won't even let four people in the courtroom right now,
So
and there's no news.
at the level they will study the case at the Supreme Court of Canada, that the Canadian judicial system failed and they harass me and persecute me instead to straighten. But they may straighten. It's the objective. The goal, it's the Supreme Court of Canada straighten. The goal is this. I'm really want justice on earth. It's the only way that the politician straighten, because if the judicial is the only constitutional counterpower of the abuse of power of government, meaning legislative and executive branch. The only constitutional counterpower is judicial. If the judicial straighten, the politician will have to straighten or dismiss. It's like automatic. It's my calculation. Then about the France, the level, the National Court of Asylum, it would be a public hearing in Paris, and then I talked with recently with an independent media. I have contact with more than one, but there is one is very clever and and he said that he want to come to this public. Maybe they will try to. I will ask to make sure that there is a journalist bilingual. And I want to say that why I notified to the King Charles III and the General Governor of Canada this big case before to reach France. It was in May 17, 2024 that I sent to them. It was because upon the Constitution, they is the King. Then I know upon the tradition is he want to let the Prime Minister of Canada like deal with administrate the Canada, but we are in a crisis, a democratic crisis. It's time to everyone straighten. It's time to with skill and integrity, because to not fail. We have to have skills. Like me, I had skills in law and health law, and we are in big litigation for victim, like case David against Goliath. But we have also to have courage, skills and courage. Why courage? It's because without courage you cannot have integrity. Then a person fail if there is no skills on the subject, or there is no courage, the integrity, or both. Meaning we have everybody to have skills and courage. It's for the future of the children. It's time to straighten, and it's time to talk not just behind the curtain, behind the doors. It's time to talk publicly for everyone. It's time that everybody, it's not me bring the loss of confidence of the population about the Canadian judicial system. Me, I just inform the population what's going on. It's a it's when if the judicial is not there, when there is abuse of power, then the population is not protected. If the judicial is there, sorry,
It's okay. It's all right.
because I'm the end of a cold. I was stunning that I didn't cough as yet. Then, if the judicial is there and stand up for when there is abuse of power, legislative or executive, from the government, then the population is protected. We have the constitution, we have the charter, we have the international law, we have everything on the document. We need people have skills, and people have integrity. If you choose it's no people ask you to do it. If you choose to a public position, or even a constitutional position like a judge, you have you have to go and take all the risks that I take for the future of the children, even the risk to the death.
Yeah,
As
I
the veteran, sorry.
this getting to have the opportunity to speak with such wise and intelligent people as often as I have over the last few years. I've been fortunate enough to evolve, and I used to believe that knowledge was power, and then I realized that knowledge without action is nothing. And I have to amend that again, because knowledge without action and courage is still going to end up with the most educated graveyard in the country. So we need action and courage to go with the knowledge. So thank you for helping me level up on some of this as well. So when you're I tell us when you're this process is going to start. Hearings over there. I don't know how, but I do have some friends in the UK that would probably be very interested in being in the courtroom to hear this, simply
Yes.
because of the light that it's going to shed on Canada. Trudeau and the governments have done a very good job of buttoning down the hatches on the truth, so the world doesn't gets to know. But that's where I take that as a challenge, and say, here, hold my beer. I will tell the world. If you don't want them to know, I will do my best to tell them. So when does when does the action start, I guess?
The hearing, I don't have the date as yet. About UK, there is two independent media contact me. David Vance will interview me from UK. I think it's in Belfast in north of Ireland, but I'm not sure. In Wednesday. And yes, probably they may come, but the point is, it's about in France the hearing, but the most important file, it's now the files, the file, the proof that all the judicial system fail front of the abuse of power of government. In the case of my client, my previous client, this case at Supreme Court of Canada, our highest court in Canada, is on the desk of the judge. Now it's time to get, like, it's happened now. Like, they may take a decision, the Supreme Court, in 1 month. And because they know that the judge in France looked the document, look what they did, that it may help them, to take the good decision. I'm not saying it's sure. Huh? Everybody has their conscience, and they may elevate their conscience. But I want I want to be positive at the end. If you do a fight and you say, "Oh, we'll lose," imagine me. I always imagine like a battle. A battlefield. Okay, if you have two battle. Okay, like you are like a Scottish warriors. If you go to a battle, a war, and you say, "Oh, I will not win," do you think you will win? You will never win. That it's not naive to say we will we have to have hope. It's not to be naive, it's to be fighter. Okay, it's to be in action. Then what I hope it's the Supreme Court of Canada take the best decision, because for me the most important thing is the Supreme Court of Canada take the best decision, because it's the future of our children. This is the most important. Then it's in the next months, and maybe it will happen a demonstration in Ottawa to support my files. Some people are talking about this, but I don't know as yet, and I'm not there. Then it's upon them and what they would decide. It's like we will see in the next
Well,
days.
I'm a firm believer in a few things. Personally, I think that God wins at the end of the day. So I'd take that and leave that for what it is. But I also understand that the wheels of justice move so much slower than the wheels of the world right now. When we were kids, the world started at 9 o'clock and it stopped at 5 o'clock. But now it works 24/7, and we have this. Unrealistic expectation that we can get results and remedy as fast as the chaos is coming, and that is not the case. And people are I think too easily discouraged, and they think only way left is to go to war, violence. And I'm like going, no, 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 we haven't begun yet to exercise all of the things that we can do with a little bit more education and a little bit more action, and as you say, a little bit more courage. I think that we're getting to the closer to the heart of the fight, and I think that we know that Ottawa is full of cowards and scoundrels, and an international spectacle on their bad behavior is not something that they can afford or even want at this point. So I'm looking forward to hearing about all of the updates on your case, Gloriane. I hope that this turns into an international story. I hope that the people that are out there and get a chance to watch this, anytime you see a part of Gloriane's story come up, talk about it, share it out there, get people talking about it, because I think we heard a lot from people in France and from Europe on what they're experiencing, but they don't, I think, on the other side of that coin, get the full picture of what's going on here in Canada. But I think they're about to get a lot more.
In Quebec province, there was no possibility of debate in media mainstream. Then I'm not saying in France is perfect, but in France there was debate in media mainstream. I'm not saying everything is perfect, but me that anyway, my goal now, I never know, but it's to bring the case of the harassment and the failure of the Canadian judicial system to another country, the country that the judge are not linked, they are not relevant, they are not, and it's, we will see what's going on. And I really hope the Supreme Court of Canada will take the good decision. It's the only thing I hope.
They have such an opportunity.
Exactly, it's perfect. And I'm just saying that the people talk to me about demonstration in Ottawa, like front of the Supreme Court of Canada. There is a possibility that it may be because it's like it may, the Supreme Court of Canada may take a decision very fast. It may be this weekend. Then this weekend is fast, okay. Then Saturday or Sunday, but it's not sure. Sorry, because like things go fast. I will text you if I know the date, if there is
Please do.
demonstration.
Please
And
do.
this is a case for Canadian, but also Western world, because if
Yes.
its work in Canada, it will have an impact for all judge and all politician in Canada, but also in the Western world. And if you say, "Oh, see, it's too much what you say," but it's a big case. It's a big case that I built with a lot of skills and a lot of I don't know, in French it's perseverance. I don't know, like I maintain the work.
Perseverance, I
Yes,
think you're trying
exactly.
to say. Yeah, and our country may not be very old, but we have left our mark in history already. In that, when the Canadian people stand up and say enough to the world, the rest of the world follows every single time. Our Canadian people have shown that, and I think that that is the opportunity. Again, we don't have to devolve into third world antics. We can beat them with education, knowledge, action, and just a little bit of courage. So thank you so much for doing everything that you're doing, and being so convicted and committed to doing what's right, not what's easy. The world needs a whole lot more of that. So I'm always thrilled when I get an opportunity to share with the community somebody that is embodies that. I'm going to pull up your X or Twitter account here right now for people, and I'll make sure that everybody that watches this gets it in the link. We're taping this a little bit earlier in the day because of the time change, but
Yeah.
uh, I
As
encourage
a
Canadians, get plugged in. This is Gloriane's X account, Twitter account, and the
on the
documents
X.
and everything is here.
Yeah, the X on X account, it's not Facebook. Facebook, it's more in French. It's like the Québécois. It's more Québécois. Follow me on Facebook. But on X, it's always published in bilingual. It's like one post in French, the same post in English, and then if you are like you follow my account, you will see posts in French, but there is always the same thing, usually in English, except for the interview. And you will see on the bottom, on the beginning, if you come back at the beginning, there is my link for Gives and Go. Okay. I know a lot of people ask you money, but you have to understand that it costs a lot. It's a full time. What I didn't explain so much is I'm the first person attacking the Western world, the public health law. Not just a regulation or decree, like really this is at the level of appeal at the Superior Court of Quebec. And we will have an hearing the October 7, 2024 in Montreal courthouse. But like I would like you, everybody, if you can look your, if you can follow like what's going on, because maybe this weekend they will have a demonstration from the Supreme Court of Canada. If it's happened, I would like so much you come from all everywhere from the Canada. The picture, it's a picture front of the Supreme Court of Canada, but there was a renovation, and it's we stand with Gloriane, because it's when I plead the same case front of the Court of Appeal in Quebec City in March 11, 2024. Some people come in Ottawa from the Supreme Court, not me, because I was working on my case to show to the Supreme Court that we are people are with Gloriane, because it's not about me. The people do the I don't know, the flags. They asked me, can we put a picture of you? I said, no picture. It's not about me. It's about to straighten. But I agree to put my name, like, because to link with the case. But it's about to straighten the judicial system. Then the judicial system will straighten the politician. Then if you can give me some donation to support me, because I'm doing this for the future of the children. I know you understood. Then I have a Gifts and Go, and Thank you very
Well,
much.
I wanted to just touch on this, and the reason why I wanted to keep pulling this post up here, you've got this post pinned on your X profile, and it's got links to the documentation in there. People, I encourage you. We've got a lot of people that, for some strange reason, love to read legal documents. So there's everything is there in French and in English. And I think that this needs to become Canada's case, not just a case in Quebec or a Quebec lawyer. This needs to become Canada's case. So I encourage everybody to get informed on it and find your way over. And I'll make sure that I publish a Substack with all of the details and everything as well. So this will be out in tomorrow's Substack. So I encourage everybody to please go over. This is Gloriane's GoFundMe or Give Send Go page. Go and help fight for Canada, for the kids of tomorrow. So thank you so very, very much, my friend, for doing this. And I look forward to hearing some great victory stories and updates in the near future. So.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Thank you very much, everybody, for your patience. I know my English is not well. It was I was so not good in English. Like I had so much to do immersion and listen CBC. But it's not because I'm not interested about language. It's because it's not my skill. We cannot be good in everything.
Well, I have no fear of that. I do this because I'm absolutely useless for anything else in this fight. So all of our skills matter at some way, shape, or form. And if we're all fighting for the same thing, and that's a better Canada and a safer Canada for our kids, that's the only thing that matters. So I'm very grateful that you've found some time to join us today and share your story and inspiration and hope for everybody. So
Thank you very much.
my
Good
pleasure.
evening.